Well, we made it with one.
I will button mash for this.
Dukes of Hazzard.
Hey folks, and welcome to some more Toques of Hazzard, and I guess it's going to be another episode of Toque Tactics, just in a different style today. I recently was at the Wet Coast tournament here in Vancouver, BC, and I had an absolute blast, and I kind of wanted to just share my experience and tell you guys how I did, let you guys know some tricks, what my kind of experience was of tournament life. If you guys are kind of interested in it yourself, I highly recommend it. The community was absolutely fantastic. I have really nothing bad to say. I mean, you do have those bad eggs everywhere, but you can ignore them for the greater good, right? Well, round one went well. It was kind of interesting because I ended up fighting one of my own teammates, but we kind of just breezed past that and just ended up to play it for the sake of just playing a good tournament, having fun. And it was against a Chaos player. So it was pretty interesting because he was playing a chargy army, had some Defilers, had a Hellbrutes, had some Hazards, had some Havocs, and it was kind of interesting because I didn't get first turn, so I was going to be castling, and it put me on the back foot right away. So I castled up, obviously, in my deployment. I put out a Kroot bubble in my scout move when I realized I didn't get first turn, and well, I tried to lay a bit of a trap as much as I can with my Kroot, leading them back to the base castle. The Defiler charged, hit the Kroot. Most of my, shooting happened first. A lot of my infantry took hits. My Ghostkeel buffed a lot of it. My drones buffed a lot of it as well. And my Piranha was down to 1 wound, but still somehow managed to cling to life. And then the charging happened. The cultists charged my Kroot. I kind of let that happen, and the Defiler charged the other side line of Kroot, and that's where I put most of my Overwatch into, and managed to take the Defiler down to 1 wound just in my own Overwatch. So when it came to my turn, I fell back, managed to polish off that other Defiler, and then the next Defiler, and the Lord Discordant, and most of those cultists as well. So give me a bit of breathing room. But we then had a Rhino coming in and Abaddon taking out my stealth suits. I did lose my Ghostkeel in the first turn as well. But Healy in the first turn for me, I healed that Piranha up to 4 wounds and did manage to get a charge off against that Hellbrute, which meant it couldn't shoot the next turn. Or so I thought, because they managed to kill it with smites and other magics. So the Hellbrute was fully functional. Yay! But my drones did manage to come through and buff all the hits, so we were good there. Hazards came out, and then I'm going to call them Hazards from now on, screw it. So the Hazards came out, they just demolished half my infantry right then and there. Abaddon, again, took my stealth suits out and took the next objective. I then managed to, I took the Lord Discordant, I took the Hazards, and then mopped up the rest of the Chaos Space Marines, and it was then kind of just, it pretty much swung me by that point. The 2 Cayunes, after that critical devastation on that Defiler there, really kind of swung me the game in first turn, but I did have to wither quite a bit of a storm to get to enjoy that benefit. But it was a really good game, had a lot of fun, and honestly, I didn't win by many points. He was just such a great player. Now, on to round 2, I was playing a new to Warhammer player, but he's been playing War Machine quite a lot. And now, I didn't know it at the time, but that actually meant quite a bit, because I've never played War Machine. I didn't know, apparently, it's quite strategically and objective-based. This meant that my opponent was very much playing the objectives. Now, he was a Knight and AdMech mix, and his AdMech were the Detachment, or not Detachment, but Forge World, that has the -1 to hit them. So that meant for my army, it was pretty difficult to actually get kills on them. And of course, I knew I pretty much wasn't going to get first turn, so I set up to kind of defend as much as possible, hit the Piranha, put up a front line of Kroot, because I knew the Gallant that he had was coming charging my way. I needed to screen that because I couldn't move over it, so get them up as quickly as possible. Didn't realize Dragoons were so fast though. God, that was annoying. Anyway, my Ghostkeel was on the flank. I tried to put him up as far as possible to make him look as scary and threatening, and he did his job. He was 50% obscured, so he was in cover as well. I had his drones nearby him, obviously, so he had his -2 to hit him, and he buffed so many hits. The ones that did hit him barely did anything, so it was fantastic. The Piranha, unfortunately, was just too far away on the left side to do anything really to the Knights or anything, but he was kind of critical for an Onager on the side, so it did manage to hold, more than his points worth over there. Now, the Gallant, anyway, going back, less foreshadowing. The Gallant charged me and managed to block it really with most of my Kroot, but the Dragoons snuck around the side and charged my main lines. Kroot again did manage to block a bit of it, but they did sneak into a block of infantry as well. In the charge, I did manage to take out one of the Dragoons though, so I mean, it was something. I then fell back with the infantry that needed to, polished off those Dragoons, took out the Gallant, which was nice, it didn't explode, that was even better. And then Keeley, I charged the one Onager with that Piranha I was talking about. I charged some infantry with the Ghostkeel, so I could take them out from being in contention. And the drones, because I moved the Ghostkeel around so I could get in recon, so I had to kind of charge it so it can get into there as well. And then the drones that I'd left behind, from that Ghostkeel, I charged into an Onager as well, so that way we could take out that Dune Crawler from shooting. And both the drones and the Piranha managed to make it in, and they didn't get really damaged at all. So it was good right there, and we managed to take out a lot of shooting and hold our own. We really didn't grab many objectives, but we managed to get enough that we were doing okay. Next turn, the Assassin came in, some deep striking mech came in. They took out some of my flank, took out one of my firesight marksmen, some infantry there, took an objective, which was kind of important to me, so I had to go take that back. But the Knight really didn't get to do much. It put most of its shots into my Ghostkeel, which, with its being in cover again, managed to buff most of those hits as well. It took a bit of damage, but not enough to be critical for it. And then my Riptides and the drones as well did some work in taking damage and staying alive. And we did a little bit of retribution. Obviously, all the Onagers in the turn before fell back, so they could shoot all my units. Oh, and I did lose that Piranha as well. But the drones survived, which was key, because that meant in my turn, I managed to charge that Onager again with those two drones. And we'll get into that later. Look at me go. I loved it. I had so much fun. I'm bouncing all over the place. Anyway, I managed to take out, some more of the shooting variants of the Dragoons as well. And as I mentioned, that Assassin and those deep striking AdMech, I managed to take out them as well. So that secured my flank again, and we could then just concentrate on everything in front of us. I then wasn't really too worried about the Onagers because I was in a position to lock them up, because I had jumped my Ghostkeel into the back and he took out an engine seer that was standing by to repair one of the other Onagers. So I managed to lock up all three Onagers by the drones from the destroyed Piranha charging the one and getting in and surviving. One drone did. The single drone I had left alive from the stealth drones managed to charge an Onager and get in and lock that up. And then the Ghostkeel also managed to charge into the last Onager and lock that up. And then, it was kind of pretty much just mopping up there, a bit of game maintenance. I think I managed to take out I managed to take out the Crusader in the third round, and then it was just kind of pinning everything down because it was just so hard for me to kill the AdMech with the -1 to hit. I felt like I was wasting so many of my shots, so I actually had to play, weirdly aggressive with charging just to make sure that they couldn't shoot me back in return, so I could stay alive. But it worked out, but it was a very close game. I think there was only 3 points in it, but did manage to snag that one. Now, that did bring me to my third game, and that was the third game of the day. Everyone was beat. Still a lot of fun. And this guy, he was a very good player. I've played him before, managed to beat him the first time. Please note how I said the first time. I did not win this round. Playing Chaos Demons, Nurgle. They are very resilient. Gosh, they just ate so much of my fire. I couldn't believe it. I'm looking forward to the next match I have against this guy. But this one, I played way too aggressively. I tried basically the same tactic I did with the first Chaos player, and sent out a Kroot bubble, tried to lure him in. Didn't realize Plague Bearers could move so quickly and charge so far, and I knew that they could have so much heals on them, like getting troops back. I just didn't realize how. Like it was hard for me to get it in my head to how survivable they are. They have a -1 to hit, 5 up invul, 5 up feel no pain. With more magics, they can behave -2 to hit. They just take so many hits. I mean, there was one time I got 16 wounds against some plague drones, and they lost 2 plague drones. This was 16 wounds of burst cannon shots. Like I thought the squad was dead. Oh god. Anyway, so he charged me. I baited. He charged. It wasn't bait because he knew what he was doing. It was basically from then on I was on the back foot trying to just stay back. He had whole board control. I was a little corner just trying to shoot my way, fall back, shoot, fall back, shoot. I think I actually managed to do more damage with my Overwatch over the entirety of the game than I did anything else. By the end of it, he didn't have much left. I had more, but I was so far on the back foot I couldn't pull through. But it just tells me I played too aggressively and I need to play more defensively next time. Magnus also was a champ. He just came through and just basically one hit a Ghostkeel with some magic. He did 7 mortal runes right there, and then he polished it off in close combat. It was just nasty. It took a while to take him out too, and then 3 or 2 other demon princes. It was a hard list, well fought. I'm looking forward to the next one. Round 4 went a little better. It was unfortunately a bad matchup for him. It was Space Marines. So we Tau were pretty good at taking out Space Marines. It was Blood Angels, and for once I actually got the first turn. So I managed to take out a Repulsor, and then inside that Repulsor tank was some Aggressors, his Captain, his Warlord, and an Ancient. And I managed to take all of those out with some well-placed Riptide shots, and some infantry as well, and Ghostkeel and a Seeker Missile. Managed to work out perfectly just to get the perfect stratagems off at the right time. And then obviously from there he was trying to slog up the field a bit more. Didn't manage to get off enough shots against my Riptides, which managed to buff a lot of it. Pretty much ignored my Ghostkeel, which is the first person to do that, which was really good. But unfortunately the Riptides just took most of the shots because he had a lot of anti-infantry, and the heavy stuff just went on drones. And then again next turn after that, another Kayun, managed to take out Repulsor and more Aggressors, the Redemptor Dreadnought, and the Reavers came in. His next turn failed their charge, so unfortunate there again, and it was just again more game maintenance after that, and just kind of moving up the board, keeping certain and opposing units alive so you can keep getting Butcher's Bill and stuff and the next turns, but making sure you get enough for kill more and all that sorts of stuff. But it turned as soon as I got that first really good turn of shooting off, which was unfortunate because he was a really good player and it was just a really bad matchup. And then that brings me to that last round, round 5, which was against one of the guys who actually started up 40k competitive Facebook page. Really good guy. Had an AdMech list. It was really interesting because it was a breacher list. So you had Kroll, had 3 units full of breaches, which I didn't know much about and terrified me. But managed to get Ghostkeel up there, which managed to buff a lot of those shots. He has his 4-up invul because I gave him a shield gen. So he took a lot of the shooting between the melee when he got charged and the 2 full units of breaches that shot into him. He was left with only taking 4 wounds, which is somewhat of a miracle, but it was game changing as well because it prevented him from getting into a magic box, which allowed me to shoot at him, which meant that when my turn came around, because my Riptides managed to take a lot of the shots from the onagers and then put off the ones they couldn't onto their drones, they managed to polish off 2 units of breaches and then take out an HQ unit of some form. Next turn he was left with the unit of breaches in the far back that had to come up, but really weren't in a good position to take as much damage as those first two. They did manage to take out my Ghostkeel though, which was better than the two combined apparently. And then the Onaga Dreamcrawlers managed to also assist with taking out that Ghostkeel and then put more shots onto the Riptide. But then obviously the Riptides moved up, took out the rest of the Breachers, some more snipers because they weren't quite in range of the Onagas. And then they actually managed to get in line of Crawl, and with the Breachers and snipers gone, they actually managed to take out Crawl. Next turn after that, he had some sneaky little guys coming in from behind, so Drill came up, some Electro Priests came out. I didn't realize Electro Priests were shooty. I always thought they were close combat. That was my bad. So they gutted my infantry line, but Riptide survived. They did a bit of retribution and then some more game maintenance from there. It was honestly, I was really scared looking at the list. It could have been terrifying, but there was some really fortunate rolls for me and fortunate for him. But again, a really good game. Still pretty close, but a lot of fun regardless. Managed to come 12th in the entirety of the game. I think there was 91 people at the end of it. I think 98 people signed up and started the tournament. I didn't manage to win, as I said, got 12th, but I did manage to snag the Tau, or its best in faction of Tau, and that was the first time I've ever managed that, so I felt really good for that. And I'm really looking forward to more tournaments to come. I met a lot of really good guys there. The community was absolutely fantastic, and folks, if you haven't gone out and experienced these tournaments, even if you don't intend to play, just go out and watch and see what they're all about, just to see if you can spark your interest in playing in the future as well. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. Have a great week. Bye for now.